Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies, and the Phillies have to pay Kyle Schwarber. Last night, the perfect example why. We'll talk about it on today's episode.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. You may know me from some of my other work in the sports talk space. I've been on air over at 97.5 The Fanatic doing sports talk radio here in Philadelphia for over 5 years. I've been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for 4 seasons, and this is now my 4th year as the host of Locked On Phillies. Please make sure that you're rating and reviewing if you're checking us out in podcast form. If you normally watch us on the YouTube and you can't, hey, you can get us wherever you get your podcast. If you normally check us out on the podcast and you want to see us in video, check out the YouTube, Locked On Phillies on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. It's free. It's easy. It gets you notifications when new episodes are posted. Appreciate everybody doing that and appreciate everybody following along with Locked On Phillies. As always, another great win for the Phils last night. They take down the Tampa Bay Rays 8-4. A little later on in the episode, we're going to go through the main takeaways from last night's game. We're also going to preview Game 2. If the Phils can find a win in Game 2, they can find a way to win their 4th straight series. Winning series, that's the name of the game in Major League Baseball. So we'll break all of that down. But the number one takeaway from last night, my number one thought this morning when I woke up, probably will be all day today, and it may continue all season. The Philadelphia Phillies have to find a way to re-sign Kyle Schwarber. They got to pay the man. He is having an outstanding year. First and foremost, credit to Kyle Schwarber. And it sucks for the Phillies, but I got to give it up to the guy, right? The Phillies reached out to him about an extension in spring training before the season started. Talks did not conclude with a contract extension, obviously. He said no to their first offer, and then, he said, don't contact me during the season. That's nothing against Kyle Schwarber. He thinks he's worth more than what the Phillies offered him. He wanted to focus on baseball during the season. It's very similar to that Aaron Nola situation where it was like, okay, couldn't work something out. We'll let you see the market in free agency. We'll try and re-sign you there. I get it. It happens before. It's nothing like Kyle Schwarber doesn't like the Phillies. It's nothing like the Phillies don't like Kyle Schwarber. But Kyle Schwarber looks pretty smart right now because he's been tearing the cover off the ball. He is tied for the league lead in home runs. Goes yard again last night. He's seeing the whole field. He's hitting lefties. He's getting walks. He's hitting in the cleanup spot, getting more RBIs. Well, I guess more RBIs. We'll see over the course of the season because he's never really been that low of an RBI guy. But it always seemed like he needed more based on the amount of home runs he hits. But where he's batting is neither here nor there. The point is, the dude's still an amazing hitter of the baseball. And he's a very, very important part of this team. What he's done this season has been absolutely freaking incredible for the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't know any other way to put it. He has been their MVP in my eyes to this point in the season. Now it's May 6th, May 7th as I'm recording this. So you're not exactly handing out full season MVPs yet. But my goodness, he's batting .258, which is right around where you want a power hitter to be. He's already got 12 home runs, which is tied first in all of baseball, 28 RBIs, tied for 8th in all of baseball, a .999 OPS, 4th in all of baseball. He has just been absolutely amazing. And that's exactly what you expect from a guy like Kyle Schwarber, but he's even taken it to another level this year. It's like he's a fine wine because he is just getting better with age. It feels like every year with the Phillies, he adds something different to his abilities at the plate. Now, obviously, you're never going to sign him to play the field, but he's very important in that DH role. And the other thing that is really important that doesn't get talked about enough, and it gets talked about a lot, but still, there is no overstating this fact. He is the leader of this team in the clubhouse. He's a guy that is one of the ultimate clubhouse guys. He's a great dude to be around. He handles his business. He makes sure other guys handle their business. And he's not the only one in the Phillies locker room, but Kyle Schwarber is the heartbeat of this baseball team. He is. Don't take that as like just kind of a throwaway. He is the heartbeat of this Philadelphia Phillies team. And not only that, he's the best hitter right now on this Philadelphia Phillies team. Yes, you might say, no, Castellanos, big day, 4 RBIs, also went yard. Bohm hit his first home run. We'll get to that. This is the Kyle Schwarber segment, and for good reason, because, again, I think he's been their best player this year, and he's only played, 1 game, 2 games in the field so far this year. Just his bat is that valuable. So I think the Phillies have to bring him back. I can't imagine the next couple of years of this baseball team without Kyle Schwarber. Now, notice I said the next couple of years. Here's where the conversation gets tricky, because I can tell you, he's going to keep hitting home runs. He's going to see the ball really well. He can bat anywhere in the lineup. Okay, yes, all of these things are true, but it is a business. You can't just give out, hey, we love you, Kyle. We're going to give you $400 million, 10 years, all of this wonderful stuff. And it's just like, okay, well, what happens the back part of the contract, which is why you got to really figure out the length and the terms of the contract, which is going to be tricky. He's already 32 years old. Now, as a DH, probably won't age that quick. But you got to look at some of the other guys. Bryce Harper's going to be here for the long haul. Maybe you look at Nick Castellanos and say, okay, well, Castellanos has 1 more year after this. He's not going to be a free agent, but what do you do when guys like Castellanos, Harper, maybe Real Muto if he's still here, like some of these other guys start to age, and Harper's the main one because he's under contract for such a long time. That DH position could become very valuable for the longevity of Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's the better player. As good as Kyle Schwarber's been, Bryce Harper's the better baseball player than Kyle Schwarber. And that's not a slight to Kyle, right? Harper's Harper. But there may be a point, if you sign Kyle for like 4 or 5 years, there may be a point in the back part of that contract where it's like, well, Harper's kind of starting to slow down a little bit at first. We need to DH him more games to get him off his feet. You've already seen the Phillies do that this year. You're not going to put a 36-year-old Kyle Schwarber in left field, already at 32. He's not your best option out there, to put it lightly. So you have to think about positionally how locking down the DH position for that long could affect the Philadelphia Phillies. Those other guys were more just throwing names like Romuto, Castellanos. Castellanos played all 162 games in right field last year. He's played every game so far in right field this year. Romuto very well may not be back, even though he started to swing the bat well again and is still great defensively. The point is you have to think about the future of an aging roster, and will there be other guys that need to hit in the DH spot? So does he create a logjam? And for that matter, I wouldn't be signing a 32-year-old player to a incredibly lucrative contract. I'm talking like over $100 million. And I also wouldn't be signing him to anything over 3 years, right? 3 years is the absolute like drop point for Kyle Schwarber. We will get you to your age 36 season or 35, depending on where his birthday is. And then after that, we'll have to reevaluate. And some team may outbid you. There are drop dead points. Like if someone comes out and says, we're going to give Kyle Schwarber $200 million over 4 years to come and just match baseballs for our team. And the Phillies are like, well, we have other stuff we got to figure out, and we got other guys we may have to pay. Well, then you reevaluate that. So it's not a blank check. He's not Juan Soto. He's not Shohei Ohtani. He's not Aaron Judge. But he is a damn good hitter of the baseball and a very important piece of this team. So the number one offseason priority, however this season ends, is going to be how does Kyle Schwarber remain in the Phillies jersey in the city of Philadelphia for the immediate future, right? That's going to be my biggest focus. And I'm not going to do this, and you shouldn't either as a Philadelphia Phillies fan, because it is anti what we're trying to accomplish here. The better the baseball team, the happier we are. And we're pretty happy right now because the Phils are winning, and we're going to turn this into a team conversation in the next segment about what they're doing right and everything. It's a good time to be watching some Philadelphia Phillies baseball because they're starting to really hit their stride, especially at the plate. But when you look at what's going on with, trying to take care of business the way that the Philadelphia Phillies want to, like you have to be able to cut back in some spots at some point, right? You do. There are going to be guys that you just can't afford, but like don't want to pay. And there are going to be other teams that overpay because they don't have it. And you have to look at it and say, okay, do you want Kyle Schwarber to not hit the rest of the way so he gets cheaper? We're never going to have that conversation, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. It would help the Phillies if the dude just like, I don't know, had a cold stretch of a month or two, but nobody's rooting for that because that would be bad for the baseball team. I want Kyle Schwarber to hit 70 home runs this year, and then he's going to get expensive. And if he does that, it may mean he's not back. But goal one is what can you do to help the Phillies win this year? Because no future seasons are guaranteed, right? We don't know what the team's going to look like. We don't know what changes are coming. We don't know what the rest of Major League Baseball is going to look like. So you don't say, well, it'll save us money in the long run if he's not totally great this year. Not even a thought in our minds should that be. All right. We want Kyle Schwarber to be good. If that gets him more money, that gets him more money. I don't think he'll take a hometown discount because it'll be his last big contract of his career, whatever he gets in free agency this offseason. But yeah, you have to hope the Phillies can open up the checkbook and re-sign him. They have the money. They have the ability to. John Middleton hopefully values Kyle Schwarber's leadership and his bat, and you're just going to have to root for him in the moment. And in the back of your mind, when every time he hits a home run, you're going, okay, dollar amount just went up. That's the price of doing business. That's a good thing for this year's team. This year's team has a lot of good things going for them right now. So coming up next, we are going to talk about the other great signs from Game 1 down in Tampa Bay. Phils with an 8-4 victory over the Rays. And it was not just the Kyle Schwarber show. No, there were a lot of guys who contributed in very important ways in last night's game. We will talk about all of them coming up next as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Kyle Schwarber's got to be eating his wonderful pistachios because the power that guy has at the plate, it can only come from a snack that's both delicious and nutritious. You can crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. You want to hit homers like Schwarber? Well, each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. And I know I said crack into a good source of protein. Well, you don't have to crack them at all if you don't want to. They have this no shells variety, so you can just eat the pistachios without having to go through the trouble of cracking the outer shell. Now, that's what I like because I'm lazy. But if you like the experience of actually cracking open the pistachio, you can get those too. They have a bunch of different flavors and seasonings and everything. It's the absolute best snack for staying in shape for the summer, getting in shape for the summer, having something you enjoy while you're on the go. Once summer gets here, we start heading down the shore in this area. It's the perfect snack. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com. All right. Well, the Phillies. It wasn't just Kyle Schwarber last night. They're still a baseball team. There's a lot of other guys that contributed and a lot of other stuff to break down from the 8-4 victory over the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's start with the man on the mound, Zack Wheeler, who was unbelievably efficient last night through 7 full innings. Only allowed 4 hits, struck out 9, did not walk anybody. Through those 7 innings, he only threw 84 pitches. Now, the Phils ended up scoring 4 runs in the top of the 8th. If they didn't do that, Wheeler would have been back out there for the bottom of the 8th. But he spent some time sitting down. He was down near the end of his day. Once you go up and you're up, what was it at that point? 8-2. You say, or sorry, 7-2, because they scored again in the top of the 9th. You say, okay, we can get out of a 7-2 game with our bullpen. We just had an off day yesterday. Get Wheeler out of there. He's done his job. Let's go get him the win. So I have no issue with them taking out Wheeler after 84 pitches. I mean, frankly, he did his job. The only thing that hurt Zack Wheeler, gave up another bomb. He's given up a homer in all of his starts so far this year. I don't know what it is. And last night's was kind of a cheapie. Playing in a minor league park, it's like 357 feet to right center field. I don't think that's out of many ballparks around the majors. But, hey, it was out down there. You got to play to the field that you're at. I'm sure plenty of people have that conversation as opposing fans when their team comes to Citizens Bank Park. So I'm not complaining about, oh, the stadium's too small. I'm just saying, it wasn't like he gave up a nuke last night, but still, another home run. He's got to cut down on that. He's got to figure it out. But you'll take that stat line: 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned, 9 strikeouts, no walks, every single damn day. Zack Wheeler has been unbelievable for the Phillies lately. He is very, very good. He's going to be in the Cy Young conversation again. He is their best pitcher. And I'm constantly in awe of how he's so consistently good day in and day out when he gets the opportunity to start. So all the credit in the world to Zack Wheeler. Just got to have him cut down on those home runs. I think part of it is because he likes to elevate his fastball. Some guys you don't see do that, who don't throw as hard as starters. Like a guy like Aaron Nola, I do not want him to elevate anything because he's throwing 91, 92. But Wheeler, he gets away with it and he spots it well. But when you miss up, or not miss up, but like miss up in the zone, that does lead to more hard contact in the air. So maybe it's just that high fastball accuracy has not been where he wants it to be. But it is a little bit of a weird trend we'll continue to keep our eye on. If it doesn't hurt him, though, it doesn't hurt the Phillies, right? And that didn't hurt him last night. It made the game tight for a little bit, but the Phillies got insurance runs late. So with that brought up, let's talk about the offense. What a day by Nick Castellanos. 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored himself, home run that's Kyle Schwarber's stat line. 3 for 5 for Nick Castellanos, 4 RBIs. I was going to say, I thought he had 4. Also homered. They had very similar stat lines in this one. 2 runs scored. Listen to what you got out of Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos last night. You got 10 hits out of those 4 guys alone. You got 6 RBIs. Now, all of those came from Schwarber and Castellanos. You had 2, 4, 6, 7 runs scored out of those guys. And listen to some of these averages. Castellanos batting 288. Turner batting 301. Harper's only batting 241. He's going to get better. The middle of that lineup is going to be unbelievable when they all start to be in their mid-season form, and they're getting there. It was just great work by those guys. Castellanos is starting to drive the ball the opposite way. All of the Phillies home runs, by the way, Schwarber, Castellanos, and Bohm, who we'll talk about, he hit his first of the year, finally, all opposite way. You know what that says? It's a great approach at the plate. They're not getting out on their front foot. They're not going after the ball and trying to get it early, right? And sometimes when you're feeling good, you can do that, right? I think Bryce Harper's getting the ball a little late. His home run was opposite way in the series against the Diamondbacks. I'd rather see him start to pull the ball in the air, right? Get out and go get something. You're Bryce Harper. But it's not a bad thing to see guys hitting the ball with backspin the other way, because that means that they are being effective in their approach. They're letting the ball get deep, which gives you more time to see the pitch, to evaluate, hey, what's being thrown, what location is it being thrown, and they're comfortable in letting the ball get deep because they're trusting their hands to get there. When your swing's not going well, and we saw it with Alec Bohm early in the year, you want to swing early at fastballs, and you want to go get it out front, because you do not want to leave things up to, hey, I got to react. I got to shoot the ball the other way. I got to battle deep into counts. Bryson Stott, I know he went 0 for 5 last night, but you can see him get deep into counts because he's seeing the ball well. So he's comfortable with he's like, yeah, give me the 2 strikes. I don't care. I'm seeing you well. I'll make you work pitches and I'll still get on. So when I see guys hit the ball the opposite way, that to me is a confidence thing. Now there's another level of confidence, and that's, matching balls pull side consistently. But there's nothing wrong with opposite field home runs. In fact, it's great to see power the other way from some of your big guys. And that's what we saw last night. And finally, our long national, or I guess local, nightmare is over. Alec Bohm goes yard. For all of you haters out there saying that it wouldn't have been out in a real ballpark, his homer down there, Steinbrenner Field, of course, the Yankees spring training stadium, which is where the Rays are playing their home game this year because Tropicana Field has no roof on it. It would have been out of 7 total ballparks. Now, 2 of those are minor league parks. The Athletics, who are currently playing in a minor league park out on the West Coast, and the Rays, obviously where the game was, but 5 other ballparks, major league fields, would have been out of. It would not have been out of Citizens Bank Park, funny enough. So everyone calls that a hitter's park. You're still right, but there are some shorter porches out there in baseball. Still, it was good to see Bohm get that going. I didn't love that it was the opposite way. I know I was just talking about how I do like that, but for a guy like Alec Bohm, I would like to see him try and pull the ball a little bit more with power because, listen, early on in the season, he was trying to get after pitches early to pull side because he didn't trust himself late in counts. At least that's what it seemed like to me. Now he's starting to hit the ball better, so he's starting to try and work the ball the opposite way, which is what he feels most comfortable with in his swing. Now I want him to go the extra step, right? Because Schwarber I know is going to hit. Castellanos I know is going to hit. But Bohm is a guy that I'd like to see try and push himself a little bit, try and be more aggressive with the swings that he does take, not so much aggressive in approach like swing at the first pitch, but commit to the swings a little bit more and go and try and just, we've all done it, right? Whether it's softball, baseball, wiffle ball in the backyard. You're trying to hit a home run, go take a hack, dude. Like that's what I want to start seeing from Bohm to create that power. I don't want it to kill his approach though. So you got to have balance with that. But it was good to see him go yard. I mean, overall, I tweeted it out last night. The Philadelphia Phillies, they had 13 hits. They struck out only 5 times. They walked 4 times. So walked almost as many times as they struck out. They had 3 home runs, all opposite way, 8 RBIs, 8 runs scored. This is what the Philadelphia Phillies look like when they're at their best at the plate. It's everybody contributing. It's guys putting together at bats. It's seeing a lot of pitches. It's getting to the bullpen early. That's taxing the bullpen. When you need insurance late in the game after Zack Wheeler gives up that 2-run home run, they didn't get it immediately after he gave that up. But big spot, 8th inning, they go out there and they say, hey, we're going to hang 4 on you and we're going to put this game out of reach. It was just a good, clean baseball game for the Philadelphia Phillies. No errors in the game as well. Defense was pretty damn good by Bryson Stott had a great defensive game, but just everybody was pretty good defensively. It was a perfect Phillies game. So you love to see it. And now they look to replicate it tonight in game 2. And they've got an opportunity with another great pitcher on the mound, but they're facing another good pitcher. So can the Phillies win their 4th straight series? Well, we'll preview tonight's game coming up as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Let's talk about Supply House first. Supply House is awesome. You can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Of course, that's Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info, which helps you get the job done right. Plus, they got a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands. I couldn't name 10 of those brands, much less 400 plus. 200,000 parts, they're going to have exactly what you need. And it's going to be delivered fast from coast to coast. Maybe you need help with an order. Well, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service. So you're always going to talk to a real person, no machine or anything like that. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts on every order, so many great things. So thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Even more, too, because Supply House is just doing everything for you. You use promo code SH5, you'll get 5% off your first order. That's SH5 for 5% off your first order with supplyhouse.com. Game 2 of the series with the Tampa Bay Rays down there at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, Florida. It is technically still in Tampa, I believe. So they're still playing in the same town, just different building. The ball was jumping last night. There were some balls hit that almost got out. It seemed like they should have been routine flyouts. There were some balls that looked like, hey, normally that may not get out of there, and they did. So expect runs to be scored. If you're looking at over-unders or everything, I would think about betting the over, and I would also think about betting the Phillies because Christopher Sanchez is on the mound, and he's been damn good this year. Now, the guy that they're facing, and Shane Baz, is also having a really good start to the year. They actually have strikingly similar numbers. They're both 3-1. Sanchez ERA 3.45, Baz ERA 3.86. 3.86. Almost like I said the letter A there. The whip is better though for Baz. 1.17 for him, 1.34 for Christopher Sanchez. And that's just Sanchez has given up a couple more hits, but it's not that big of a difference. I mean, really, all the numbers are strikingly similar. 2 strikeouts different, 1 different in walks, same amount of home runs. You're essentially seeing the same guy, lefty for Sanchez, righty for bats. And Sanchez's stuff is better. It is. That fastball changeup combination is one of the dirtiest in baseball. He's one of the better pitchers in the league, and he's better than bats. But the Phillies are going to have to continue to go to work against righties. A fun little interesting tidbit about this road trip. Every scheduled starting pitcher on this road trip is a righty that the Philadelphia Phillies will face. Now, I don't know if that will change. Like, I don't know what's going on with Cleveland. You have to see what's going on with their series. They had a doubleheader against the Nationals because of a rain out, so maybe they switch up what's going on with their rotation. Cleveland, by the way, is where the Phillies are heading after they finish their series with the Rays. We'll worry about Cleveland when we get to Cleveland. But that's a nice thing because I always think that if you see righty, you get in a rhythm. You keep the same lineup. The same guys stay in the lineup unless somebody gets like a weird off day for rest, which they shouldn't because they've got some they've had some off days recently. They just had one on Monday. It allows the guys to get in the flow. It allows the same lineup to get out there. Rays, not so much, right? Wheeler one day, lefty, Sanchez the next. Luzardo goes tomorrow. So it's a flip-flop, and that's why the Phillies do it. That's why they had Jesus Luzardo throw in the second game of the year down in Washington against the Nationals because they wanted to have righty, lefty, and work that up with Wheeler, Wheeler, Luzardo, and then you work through Nola, all of that stuff. So they like to flip it and everything as far as that's concerned. Sanchez better, though, at home as far as that's concerned, and that's what you have to watch with him in series on the road. Now, Tampa Bay, not a great offensive team. You saw that last night. They put together okay at bats. They have some all right pieces, but you're not really looking at them as murderers row. They're not the Yankees. They're not the Dodgers. They're not the Mets. They're a team that you can get after on the mound, and Zack Wheeler proved that. Strikeout stuff was working. They weren't they were somewhat disciplined at the plate, but they're going to swing and miss. And they're going to swing and miss a bunch tonight as well, I think, on the Christopher Sanchez changeup. So it would be nice to see him get a good start on the road to make us feel better about the potential. Sanchez will have to throw road playoff games, right? This is not the guy anymore that you could say, hey, we're just going to bury him at home games in the series. He's one of your most important pitchers at this point. So that's something to watch in tonight's game. We'll also be watching if the offense will be able to stay hot. Schwarber, see if Harper gets another one tonight, goes yard for the second time in 3 games. That would be nice to see. He did not have a home run last night, but he did contribute, as we talked about with the middle part of the order, to the victory. So look at the big boppers as the lefties. Another thing to look at, too. This is my pick of the day here. Bryson Stott, 2+ bases. He was 0 for 5 last night. He's going to be in the leadoff spot again. It was just kind of one of those weird off nights for him. But he's been seeing the ball so well lately. I do not expect a change in the lineup. I do not expect him to go over again. I do expect him to have a 2-hit night. That's what I'm thinking from Bryson Stott, especially facing another righty. So we'll see how that all plays out. But the Phillies are in a great spot. This is what's so good about winning game 1 of the series. Like, now, if you have a rough day today, you have a rough day today because you got Luzardo throwing on, Thursday? Today's Wednesday. Yeah, you got Luzardo throwing on Thursday. So that means you have a really good opportunity to win the series ender. And you also have a great opportunity today. So the path to winning the series is simple for the Philadelphia Phillies at this point. And if they can win their 4th straight series, that improves upon that road record, which we talked about on yesterday's episode. They're already now 7-9 on the road. So they sweep out the Rays. They got a 500 road record. Then you go and win a series in Cleveland. They're above 500 on the road. And the next thing you know, it's, wow, this team is one of the better in baseball. Not, okay, they're good at home, but what happens when they go outside of the confines of Citizens Bank Park? The other thing that's great as well that I just want to mention real quick has nothing to do with on the field for tonight or on the field for last night, but it has everything to do with off the field. I guess roundabout way it does have stuff to do with on the field. These are basically home games for the Phillies. Phillies fans showed out down there. There's a lot of Phillies fans in that Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater area that went to the game last night, that will be at the game tonight, that will be at the game on Thursday, that are going to continue to pack it out because they get to see the Phils in spring training. But unless they travel up here to Philly, or unless the Phillies go down and play the Rays, they don't get to see them during the regular season. And that was awesome to hear it be a home crowd, even if it was only like 20,000 people, smaller stadium, of course. It was great to see the Phillies fans showing out to support. That's got to suck for the Rays. Hey, we're already playing in a minor league park, and now all these Phillies fans are down here rooting for the other team in our stadium, or our borrowed stadium. But still, I love it from the Phillies fans down in Clearwater. Continue to pack out Steinbrenner Field. Let's go for a series win tonight. What do you say? We'll break it all down on tomorrow's episode and what happens in tonight's game. But that's all for today's episode of Locked On Phillies. So thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing, all that great stuff. Once again, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I'll talk to you tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.